Mass today. I mean, after the meeting today. How exciting is that? Lots to do today. So I'm going to call up our first presenter, and yes, okay, Mike Canfield is here from Finance Council. And Mike is our chairperson of Finance Council.
All right, hello everyone. Before I get started, and what I'm going to do is just kind of walk through the statement that's been provided with the 3-year comparison. Just before I do that, I just want to thank, first of all, Jeanette Shimo for doing not only putting this together, but just what a wonderful job she's done over the years with bookkeeping and really cleaning up our reports, because the finances were, when I first started on council, which I believe was 2015, it was not nearly as organized, not nearly as detailed, and so Jeanette does a wonderful job staying on top of all this stuff, and so I did want to credit her for that. And just so you know, the Finance Council, we actually just got new parish or diocesan guidelines on what the council composition should look like. Typically, it's anywhere from 3 to 7 members. Our members right now are Jim Connell, Colleen Connell, Jim Bishop, and me. And so we meet usually 5 times a year with Jeanette and Father Gurnick. So I'm going to just kind of start here with some of the income items. And you can see here the comparison. So this is, all of these are based on March 31st. We are on a June 30th fiscal year, so we're 3 quarters into our year. Weekly offertory collections, you can see, are a little bit down, a little bit below budget. That's kind of been, unfortunately, the trend since COVID, is that those donations have gone down. We've actually seen a little bit of a dip as well in the Faith Direct, the online giving. And that was something that was in the parish cast this week. We're hoping to kind of bolster that a little bit more. One question that I had, and this may be affecting Faith Direct, is it was relayed to me that some folks are worried that if you donate to Faith Direct, whether that's still going to St. Malachi, given the integration process. And the answer is yes. Right now, all the books, everything you see here is completely separate from St. Pat. So if you're donating online to Faith Direct, like I do, it goes directly in onto our income statement. There's been no financial integration whatsoever with St. Pat's at this point. So just wanted to address that. Donations and bequests, you know, those are kind of sporadic. Those tend to vary from year to year. We never know when we're going to get a bequest. You know, so it's a little less consistent and a little bit tougher to budget for than offertory collections. One thing I do want to highlight here, you'll see there is a sale of property, about $167,000. That was a specific devise of real property, I believe in North Ridgeville. So that was a process to get the property, get it in our name, get it sold. And that's something that here at St. Malachi we've always been able to kind of, you know, we can't really plan on it, but we've always found a way, one way or another, to kind of bridge gaps. Whether it's a large bequest or something in a large devise in someone's will. In other years, it was like PPP loan forgiveness. We've just, you know, with God's grace, we've always been able to kind of find a way to sort of go against some of the trends that have made it difficult for us. So that's just one example in this past year that we were fortunate to receive. Other than that, our major fundraisers, you may know this already, We Give Catholic, the day after, Giving Tuesday after Thanksgiving, and the Malachi Run. Those tend to net about $55,000 a year each, with a little bit of variance, but those have been, over the last 5 years, our 2 major fundraisers. And then other donations, you know, donations to the Backdoor Ministry, rental income from the convent building to Stella Maris. The last item I'll point out here for income, we've been fortunate this year with the market bounce back. Most of our investments are handled with one manager. We did redeploy some of our funds that were in a checking account into a treasury fund, so that hopefully will help too as we go forward. Our investment income will hopefully help us kind of stabilize some of the income trends. Expense-wise, you know, that's pretty much tracking to budget. The largest source of our expenses are always salary, benefits. You know, those are areas where we are not running a large staff here. We are cut pretty thin as it is. We don't have a lot of wiggle room there on the expense side, so those are the major outlays. Obviously, we have aging infrastructure. We had the roof in the prior year, so those are some things that tend to crop up from time to time. And other than that, I mean, just, you know, expenses, like everyone who shops knows, I mean, food, utilities, those things have gone up through the years too. And so that's been a challenge for us as well, just kind of grappling with higher expenses. Saturday morning breakfast in particular it's been a great success. I mean, it's packed, it's just, I think, a tremendous addition to what we do, but it's expensive. I'll kind of point you to, there's another sheet here that's titled Status of Outreach Ministry Funds. And you can kind of see how that works. But if you look at the backdoor ministry from July 1st to March 31st, you can see that we are spending more than we're bringing in. And you can see how SMB, Saturday morning breakfast, adds to that. So it's just an example of what we do here is, you know, it's expensive, but it's worth it. I mean, it's an important ministry that we provide, but it is a challenge for us, you know, and that's really kind of the balancing act, is trying to stay true to our mission while grappling with these, you know, financial realities. Ultimately, our total assets here are about just under 1.2 million. You can see that that's down a little bit from the last 2 years, but I think by and large, that's been pretty consistent. I mean, we've been able to stay pretty steady over the last 15 years and been able to kind of keep a steady asset base despite the challenges we have. We're, you know, especially post-COVID, we're an inner city parish. The demographic trends are not in our favor. It's, you know, kind of a post-Christian world in a lot of ways, and so it's really taken a lot of, you know, I think, creativity. And on the positive side, we've been able to maintain our assets. We've been able to continue to carry out our ministries. We continue to do these things, and I just think it's a testament to the vision of parish leadership and the parishioners, you know, to be able to find creative ways to continue to perform our mission, to continue to have and even expand these ministries like Saturday morning breakfast while remaining viable. So I'm not going to come up here and sugarcoat the financial situation, but we've found a way to stay viable. We've found a way to continue to fulfill our mission, and we're going to continue to do that. How it's going to work with integration, I can't exactly say, but as for now, I think, you know, we continue to find ways to, you know, to remain financially viable and to continue doing what we do. So that's all I had for now. I know I'm at time anyway. I'll stick around, obviously, for questions afterwards. So I appreciate everyone's time.
Good morning. I got this document that I created, which was passed out. It's a Q&A regarding oratories. And I'll start with just reading the question and then elaborating on each one. So, what is happening with St. Malachi Catholic Church? Well, Bishop Edward Malesic of the Catholic Diocese of Cleveland has directed that St. Malachi will become an oratory church. But within that directive, we've been given the opportunity to create and shape our own destiny. Unique and united with St. Patrick Parish, within the confines of canon law. We're unique places for worship and ministries, and we're both united in our Catholic faith and purpose to serve all, and that should be a focus. What is an oratory? Is an oratory the same as the parish? Well, not every Catholic church is a parish. It can and often does happen that churches or chapels are located within the boundaries of another parish. According to canon law, an oratory is a church or physical place of Catholic worship not established as a parish because of particular circumstances. Small parishes that may be struggling with viability can retain use of their church building through the classification of oratory. Factors being considered in this discernment include mass attendance, active volunteer participation, active pastoral council membership, increased participation in sacramental life, and the fiscal viability. But the primary reason for establishing the classification of oratory is to protect the strong bonds that the parishioners of St. Malachi have developed with our church, faith communities, ministries, and buildings. The oratory classification allows our faith community to help discern our next steps and the future use of this church in consultation with our pastor and with the diocese. Bishop Malachi gave us guidance to use a discernment process to determine how we will move forward to create a unique and united collaboration with St. Patrick Parish. Bishop Malachi is allowing us to create a relationship that will work for both entities, to grow and become stronger as we all continue to serve our parishioners and all the people on the near west side. Is St. Malachi Oratory going to become part of St. Patrick? Yes, the St. Malachi Oratory will be united with St. Patrick. An oratory is led by a competent superior who is designated by the bishop, and we will be entrusted to our pastor, Father Gernick. A parish is territorial. Our territory will be merged with the territory of St. Patrick Church, and St. Malachi Church will be within that territory of St. Patrick, but we will be St. Malachi Oratory, or some version of that title. It hasn't been decided yet by the CSC. Yes, St. Malachi Oratory is going to remain a church under the auspices of the Diocese of Cleveland. St. Malachi Oratory will continue to be a place for prayer and the celebration of masses and sacraments, operating fully and within the boundaries of St. Patrick Parish. Our building will remain a church, and it will continue to use the name St. Malachi in some version. Can other sacraments be celebrated at the oratory? Well, yes, baptisms, first communions, confirmation, RCIA, weddings, and funerals can all still be celebrated at St. Malachi. We will have a Mass schedule. We will have a schedule with reconciliation, Holy Day Masses, and will be scheduled also in conjunction with St. Patrick Parish. Religious rites will be scheduled and celebrated. Who may attend and participate in services at St. Malachi? St. Malachi Oratory has been established to minister to those who have been parishioners at St. Malachi Parish, but all are welcome to be part of this faith community. Parishioners from St. Malachi Oratory and St. Patrick Parish may participate in services at either location. Parishioners in both locations may have the opportunity to be trained to participate as servers, lectors, and Eucharistic ministers in either location. Everyone is welcome at St. Malachi. Will we be members of St. Malachi Oratory? All those that have registered in the history of St. Malachi Parish, and it is a long history, will be considered members of the St. Malachi Oratory. Our parish membership and records will be transferred to St. Patrick Church. But in some form, we are hoping that we'll be able to record our St. Malachi Oratory membership so we can track how many people physically are committed to coming to St. Malachi Oratory. How will St. Malachi Oratory be operated? An oratory can be led by a priest, religious, or lay person approved by the bishop. At this point, the collaborative working groups are meeting weekly and discerning the solutions and questions regarding parish council structure, ministries, finance, staffing, liturgy and worship, faith formation, spiritual life, and buildings and facilities. The working groups are meeting weekly, sometimes bi-weekly, to discern how to combine the two entities to move forward in a most collaborative way. We are also working on a timeline that has been recently adjusted, in that our working groups and the collaborative steering committee will have a check-in day on May 11th, when we will congeal our overlaps, because many of the committees overlap over each other, and continue forward until we get to June 8th and 9th. We are expecting to have the work group presentations, and they will be held at both parishes, and parishioners will be welcome, and there will be listening sessions following in which you can ask questions. And again, that's at the beginning of June. How will the St. Malachi Oratory be maintained? For St. Malachi to continue its operations, we need to continue and encourage active participation from parishioners and the community, including mass attendance, community engagement and volunteers, and collections and offerings that will sustain the viability of our church operations. As our spiritual and operational life with St. Malachi Oratory continues to develop and hopefully increase, the faith community will stay open and continue to operate. The CSC is creating the sustainable plan to present to Father Gurnick, that he will then submit for approval to Bishop Malesic. We can use that plan to fulfill our goal to grow and create a vibrant and active Catholic oratory here at St. Malachi, amidst all the people that we serve. We are on the edge of downtown Cleveland, in view of the Irish Town Bend and all the refurbished and rebuilt buildings in our surrounding areas where the people we serve are located. And it's our duty to move forward and do the best we can to collaborate and grow and increase our parishioner base. Thank you.
Thank you, Jan. And honestly, the message is the collaborative working groups are working on how we will move forward. St. Malachi people, St. Pat's people, how we're going to move forward together, unique and united. So thank you. And here comes Kathy Graham now to talk about nominations. And maybe you want to talk a little bit more about that directory thing that we, yeah.
I can mention, because I don't think I need all 5 minutes. See, I'm going to get you all home at least 2 minutes faster. But I don't want you to go home. We've cooked so much food. Please come eat. It's easier to wash the dishes if the food's gone. So, good afternoon, everyone. This has been a different year for the Nominating Committee. I don't know if you all realize Parish Council has 12 members on it, and we rotate 4 members in cohorts of 3-year terms. So hypothetically, we should have 4 slots right now, but we have 6. People have had to step away for a variety of personal reasons. And I want to thank our nominating committee, Matt Hills, William Meany, and Jeff Walters, who've been trying really hard to encourage parishioners to run. Some people were very easy and were ready and welcome, and some people, we still have a few people who want us to continue to think about. But that being said, I think part of it is this timing with the oratory and the collaboration, and I think it's more important than ever right now to serve on council. So if you're sitting there and in your hearts you're like, you know, I could do that. We do have an ability to write in. You can campaign, you can talk to one of us, but right now we currently have 5 candidates which I would like to introduce alphabetically. So the first person is Kathy Burke. And I'm not going to read their biographies, but if people are here, if you can just stand. So Kathy Burke, a longtime member. Sister Mary Lizette Hovel, also another long-term member, active in the large community. Terry Junquist, I don't remember time when she's usually on council. Sharon Chapman, who, it's like, wait, I just voted for her, but she was the person who got the one-year term, so you can do 2 consecutive terms, so Sharon. And Ed, I know Ed is live streaming with us today, so Ed Shimo is also running for council. So elections are going to happen immediately after the meeting, the kickoff. If you want to do a paper ballot, we're going to have people at the doors. Matt and Hills is going to be over here, and William Meany and Luke Heim are going to be at this door. I'm also going to have a ballot box downstairs in the hall with the directories. And we also have another electronic virtual voting option, which actually is my preferred way because then it saves me a little bit of work. So if you want to vote that way on the description of the candidates, and Carrie, all these forms are uploaded, right, in the live stream? People will be able to see them? No, not yet? But somewhere they're going to be on the website. They're linked. Okay, they're linked in the meeting, so, okay. That is it for me. See, I told you, I had a whole lot.
So when we're talking about directory, remember several months ago how we all confirmed and updated our information, our phone numbers, our addresses? It's being published and will be available in the hall after this meeting. It is published. It's ready. Okay. We do an amazing number of outreach ministries here at St. Malachi. One that is not talked about very much, and we don't know much about, is Mother Teresa ministry. So I'm calling forward Judy Stowe. Judy was Secretary of Council when I was Chair or Vice Chair, and Judy ST, Judy SL, that's how we're known, if you ever want our nicknames. So come on up, Judy.
Morning. 55 years ago, our former pastor, Father Paul Ritz, created a little-known fund to help the needy in our Old Angle neighborhood. In February of 2020, to keep a closer track of parish finances, Father Mahoney, who was the administrator at that time, asked parish council for some help. So, a volunteer team originally comprised of a council member, a staff person, and a parishioner was formed to figure out a realistic process, to set up reasonable guidelines, to create an application, and to eventually call the individuals. The team decided to call itself Mother Teresa Ministry for St. Teresa of Calcutta, already mentioned this morning, who also aptly said, "I alone cannot change the world, but I can cast a stone across the waters to create many ripples." Being active in this ministry does not take a whole lot of time to create a whole lot of impact for needy individuals. We usually get less than 10 requests a month. Once an application is submitted to the Rectory, it is distributed on a rotating basis to a team member who reviews it, then contacts the individual, always by phone, to determine an amount to offer based on need and the limited money available that month. The most common request is for back rent caused by hardship or unexpected expenses. Additional requests have been for utility payments to either keep the power on or to have it restored, for vehicle repairs, for funeral expenses, and once, my favorite, even for a pair of steel-toed boots required for a construction job. Assistance is typically limited to once a year, and the money is always sent directly to the landlord, to the utility, or to the service provider. Sometimes the team has even been able to help make other appropriate referrals to community agencies for some extra help. The primary goal of the Mother Teresa Ministry is to provide crucial aid during a time of extreme need to keep folks on the verge of homelessness from ending up on the street. Now, as you know, every little bit counts. While we are not able always to do something directly to help the needy, it's possible to donate by putting some money in an extra envelope for the collection basket during Mass, or by online giving through the St. Malachi website. And also, quite frankly, at this point, we really need help directly from parishioners with a willing ear and an hour or two per month to volunteer to be a Mother Teresa Ministry team member. If you'd like more information, you can usually find me at Saturday Mass, or you can call the Rectory to let Jeanette know that you're interested. Thank you. We'd love to hear from you either way for this noble cause.
Thank you. We all learned by hearing from Judy about Mother Teresa Ministry, so thank you so much. Now we're going to shift gears and talk about a couple of our big fundraising efforts. And first we're going to have Nadge Hersick come up, and she'll talk about We Give Catholic.
Not yet. Okay, now wait. Giving Tuesday is the Tuesday after Thanksgiving, and it's a globally recognized day of giving. We Give Catholic is a one-day event that provides nonprofits affiliated with the Diocese of Cleveland to raise awareness and funds for Catholic organizations throughout Northeast Ohio. The Catholic Community Foundation was established and has an online platform called Mighty Cause as its Giving Day partner, so that all can donate via credit card online to their preferred ministry. Checks are also accepted. Since its inception in 2016, St. Malachi's has been a participant. All the generous donations support our numerous parish ministries and our outreach ministries. To date, St. Malachi has received $326,754 in donations, thanks to our generous donors. Over the last 5 years, we have had an average of 175 unique donors each year. The Catholic Community Foundation offers monetary incentive prizes prior to and during the event. Numerous years, St. Malachi has won first prize in the small but mighty parish category, which means that in our category, we have the most unique non-repeat donors. St. Malachi's has also been the recipient of additional prizes offered by the Cleveland-based firm Boyd Watterson. The matching donor program started in 2020, and it has increased our donations. Our 2023 campaign team, myself, Luke Heim, Judy Stowe, thank our forebearers. Retiring from our team is our dedicated and multi-talented St. Malachi Administrative Manager, Jeanette Shimo.
Yay.
Thank you, Jeanette, for your expertise. Preparations will begin soon for our 2024 We Give Catholic campaign. Your continued generosity is a blessing to all our administrators, to all of our ministries. And an encore presentation.
Encore.
We give Catholic, we give Catholic, alleluia, alleluia, we give Catholic.
Enthusiasm. Talking about enthusiasm, here comes Sharon Lowe Chapman to talk about the Malachi Run.
One of my favorite things to talk about. On March 16th, I think everybody knows that we had the 45th annual St. Malachi Church Run and Walk. And I always want to stress that it's so much more than a fundraiser. It is a big flashlight. Race week, I got to go to Channel 8 and be on set with Kenny Crumpton to talk about our ministries. And then on race day, we had Channel 8 and Channel 5 here. And Channel 5 did like 4 different segments throughout the morning. So we had great coverage. So it's an opportunity for people to find out that we are still here. We're still doing our ministries. We might be struggling a little bit financially, but the spirit is still strong. It's also a great opportunity to be a ministry to kids in the Greater Cleveland school system. We had 125 kids that ran through the We Run the City program, and when they come to St. Malachi, we call it We Run St. Malachi. So they got to all participate with no cost to them. And it's a great opportunity to engage the runners in our ministries. This year, for the first time, we had a canned food drive, and it was very successful. And then every 8th Saturday, we do a rotation with the Saturday morning breakfast, and I invite my database of runners to come, and every time somebody comes, they are absolutely committed to coming back. So, as you can see, it is more than a fundraiser. It's also a community builder. It takes a small army and of volunteers race week and race day, and even the months up to it. And every army needs some good generals, and I have 2 on my team that I want to give a special nod to today. Pat Masterson is in the back of this room. And Kathy Jacobs is streaming with us today. We absolutely couldn't do it without them. But I've been told that they have 1 year left in them. So I'm hoping that someone out in this room right now, or someone in the parish, wants to get involved in this really fun event and shadow them next year so they know everything they do, so that we can continue to make it the wonderful event it is. So now let's get to the numbers, since it is a fundraiser. This year we were up 36%, which was a huge growth. We had 900 more participants, and the accountant in me hates this number. We had 3,299 people register. So I wish one more person had registered. But anyway, we'll call it 3,300. We had almost 100 Golden Shamrock members participate. Those are people who've done the run over 20 years. We had 65 Malachi Angels participate. Those are people that pay $100, so they do an additional, they do a generous donation to our ministries. Sponsorship was up over 10,000 this year. So last year it was a little bit over 50. This year it was a little bit over 60. And that's pretty much pure profit. We really don't actually make that much money on the runners. We make our money on our sponsors. I passed out a book that you all have in your room. If you all would take a look at that, that will let you know who our sponsors are. So if you're in a position to support them, you can. You'll also see some really fun pictures of participants. And bottom line, Mike mentioned that we average $55,000 a year. That was under the old model. In 2021, we switched to a new model. Last year, we raised over $73,000 when that was with 2,400 participants. This year, with us being at 3,300 participants, the bottom line will be much better. We still are waiting for some revenue and some expenses, but I can tell you that we made over $100,000.
Isn't that exciting? And so now I'm going to call up Father Gurnick. He's going to give a report about the Rectory. If you have question cards, are you holding them up so that, because after Father Gurnick, we'll have our Q&A. So if you've got questions, then our folks hold it up and our folks will pick them up. Thank you. Okay, so whoever was giving out cards, if you could give out more.
Just to give you the update with regard to the rectory, we're pleased to inform you that after this process of consultation, once we received a letter of intent from Stella Maris, that was right before the holidays, and then after the holidays it was formalized with that letter of intent. We pursued, after consultation with Parish Council, Finance, we received permission from the bishop after he consulted with his College of Consultors, his staff, and the Diocesan Finance Council. Whenever buildings are impacted on the diocese, the bishop has to go through a consultative process as well. After all of that, we are pleased to announce that the sale of the rectory is going through. It is right now being contractually handled with our diocesan legal office and with Stella Maris legal office, but it will continue to serve a very important mission within our neighborhood, and that is it will be a residence for those in recovery through the Stella Maris program. As you know, they've been good partners in the area as our neighbors, but also as they partner with us right now with the current lease of the former convent right here behind the church building itself, connected to it. Stella remains committed to their mission, and we remain committed to partnering with them and they with us. So that is in process. What that will look like timeline-wise, we hope that by this summer we are able to get all of the contractual pieces and the sale finalized, and then make some of the transition. Right now, there is currently 3 offices in the rectory that are full-time, and those right now are being prepared. We are preparing office space across from the former library in the school building to house them during this time of transition, figuring out kind of where everything permanently will end up. But I'm grateful to the staff, I'm grateful to our finance council, to our parish council for their feedback, their support, and certainly grateful to Stella Maris for having a vision of how to retain the historical integrity of the building. They will enhance it, and they will continue to serve a vital need in our community. Thank you.
All right, so thank you. So I heard her question. Okay, so let's see. Mike Canfield, I think if you could come up, that would be good. So one of the questions that I received already is, we've talked about fundraisers, about St. Malachi, League of Catholic, and Malachi Run. How will those funds, the food fund, how will that blend all into St. Pat's, or how will that work?
Yeah, as I mentioned, I don't know how in practice the integration process is going to work. That's still being worked through with the working groups, and I haven't been involved in it, so I cannot say how that is all going to shape out, unfortunately. I just don't know. So, no, that's not the answer anyone wanted to hear, but yeah, I'm just not sure. More to come, that's all I can say.
Okay.
Was there any other cards for finance while I'm up?
The cards haven't gotten to me yet. So, okay, there's a question about the sale of the rectory, and how does that work as far as the money? Where does that go?
Well, that will go to St. Malachi. So that, I mean, that is, I didn't mention that because I knew Father Grinick was going to talk to it, but that's an example of, you know, like we talked about the sale of the real property in North Ridgeville. That's just another way that, you know, a creative way for our strategic planning to raise funds for St. Malachi. Down the line, how it works once the integration occurs, I'm not totally sure, but that money comes to St. Malachi, not to St. Pat. That will come directly to us. It will go directly into our investments.
Hi, everybody. Anybody who doesn't know who I am, I'm Matt Hills. I'm on this collaboration steering committee, and just wanted to respond a little more, in a little more detail to that question about where will the funds go after the Oratory St. Patrick Parish completion, if you will. That's still being determined. So true, Mike didn't know the answer to that question, but that doesn't mean that it's not being worked on. The working committees that have been referred to earlier are working through all of those questions and how will that work and when we are a full oratory as part of the St. Patrick Parish. So that's still being worked out. And when we have the meetings that Judy had mentioned before, I think on May 11th, people, correct me if I'm wrong, Father, but everybody's welcome to attend those so that you can hear more about how that process is working with the working groups. Pat, oh, pardon me, okay.
So Pat, you have to come up here then.
Yeah. When will the next parish-wide meeting be?
And maybe you could also address a question, the restricted funds. Are they going to specific use? Where would those restricted funds go?
I can take it.
Yeah, right.
Again, that issue of the restricted funds is being worked on with the working groups. So there will be recommendations eventually after we get toward June 29th. May 11th is a halfway meeting for the working groups to update each other on their work. That will not be an open parish meeting. It'll just be just among the working groups themselves, because there's about 60 people involved between St. Pat's and Malachi's on these different groups. They each have about 6 to 8 people, with a staff person and a liaison to the steering committee and the chairman of the particular working group. So they are doing a lot of discussion. We don't want to shortcut it. You know, we want to look at all the options and then talk with each other as a whole working group. For the June 8th and 9th meetings, those are going to be listening sessions to help us all process where we're at with this whole change and transition. You know, we haven't had a lot of chance to just talk about our feelings about it together. We've had some, but we want to recognize that this is a huge transition for all of us. So we need some time to process that together too, because I know at the town hall you got a lot of information thrown at you. You know, we didn't have a chance to process even that. So there may be some examples of what's going on in the work groups on June 8th and 9th, but the main purpose of those meetings will be hearing people what your fears are, what your questions are again by that point, because you'll be getting more information in the meantime. And to continue to acknowledge that this is a new beginning for us in many ways, and it's a joint venture. So that's the purpose of the June 8th and 9th meetings. June 29th is the final presentations of the working groups making their recommendations to Father Gurnick and the steering committee. So again, that will be among the work groups and the steering committee and Father Gurnick. And then those will be published, you know, as we get to that end point before anything goes to the bishops. There'll be more information about all that and discussion, but that's what we're aiming for in terms of when will these recommendations of each of the work groups be made to Father Gurnick. So I hope that clears it up a little bit. And just don't nail me down to anything, because we're fluid. You know, as we see the need, as we see we need to make adjustments, we're going to do that. So your feedback is very important. Keep it coming. Okay.
Thank you, Pat. Thank you, Pat.
Sure.
A question came through about oratory. Why did we do that? And I'll answer this question. Why did we do an oratory rather than sister parish? For example, St. Bernadette collects $24,000 per week. So last year we went through a strategic planning process, right? And we came up with 2 proposals that went to the bishop. Both of those proposals talked about oratory, because in our strategic planning process at St. Malachi that we did ourselves, it was evident that was probably where our future would lie. The bishop decided that oratory, rather than what we were proposing, let's do it with a neighbor parish. Now, as far as sister parish, what the bishop told us was, You will become an oratory in collaboration with St. Patrick. That is the most critical word in what he said in his statement to us. So it's not about we're going to have a landlord. No, we're in collaboration with St. Patrick's. That's why these working committees have equal numbers of parishioners. So that's a critical thing to understand about the oratory. So there was a question about the mission statement. Will St. Malachi mission statement change? And will St. Malachi and St. Pat's have their own mission statement? I understand that there's a handout from the Collaborative Steering Committee that has a mission statement that was developed within the Collaborative Steering Committee, and that holds as the mission statement for our combined parishes. And that may change in the future, but that is what it will be as we join together with St. Pat's. And I don't have it in front of me, but it is there. So will St. Malachi have its own as an oratory? That's something that we should talk about as well, because we're unique and united, right? So we still have our uniqueness that we have to address. So that's something to think about. Mike Canfield. So with the current money, how long can St. Malachi be able to cover expenses? And then this says, so go ahead and repeat. So repeat the question.
Yeah, I got it. Yeah. So, okay, so with the current trends, how long can we continue to cover expenses? Well, I mean, some of that kind of goes back to a couple things. One, what I said with, you know, the bequests and, you know, being able to kind of plug the gaps. Like we've been operating in a position where if you didn't have that, just, you know, taking weekly collections and expenses, I mean, you would have seen our assets take a significant dip again over the last 15 years, but they haven't. I mean, we've stayed steady with, you know, being able to receive special gifts, with the current state of our fundraising, with our investments, and with the Rectory sale, which is a pretty significant boost to us. I mean, I would say, you know, I mean, if I had to project it out, just thinking, how long could we stay open? It's almost impossible for me to answer that, but I mean, I certainly would think more than a decade. I mean, I just think with the way, now it would get pretty grim near the end. I mean, if we weren't able to fill those gaps, but just seeing what we've been able to do in the past and kind of how it's played out. I mean, but that is entirely spitballing because there's so many variables. Like, are we increasing parishioners? What does the giving look like? Can we leverage Faith Direct? You know, 10 years ago we did a task force with we did a whole campaign to kind of get people giving again. Could we reinitiate that again? Like, there's a lot of things that we could probably do, and I'm not on finance. Fundraising really isn't my, you know, my thing. So it's tough to answer, but I just know that based on what we've done in the past and being able to meet the challenges, I mean, I could see it going on for, you know, another 10 or so years, 15, I don't know. It's tough, but, you know, at this point it's kind of hypothetical anyway, because we're moving forward with integration, and, you know, that's the way it is. So it's a good question. It's something that would really require, you know, a lot of kind of drilling down on, you know, what can we really do to increase the fundraising, and, you know, you're part of that, obviously. So, yeah, good question.
Is there something about the budget sheets?
Please specify budget and sheets, something outreach, community outreach.
On the budget sheet, Mike, what's included in community outreach, please?
Okay, let me just grab one thing because I can give you a little bit more detail. I have generally, but hold on 1 second.
Okay. Members, so there's a question. Do all members of St. Malachi have to be members of St. Pat's? From what I understand, once this happens, that we come in Oratory in collaboration with St. Pat's, we will become members of St. Pat's. We will also be designated as members of St. Malachi. So it's like a dual citizenship kind of thing. But anyway, that's what I understand at this point.
I may have to get back to you on exactly what all goes into community outreach, but it tends to be, I think, you know, our donations, like our pledges to like Malachi Center, Malachi House, Westside Catholic Center, and then some of our and then some of our ministries, I believe is what that is. The expenses that go into our ministries as well. So I could ask Jeanette and get a specific breakdown on that category, but that's generally it. What we provide, whether here at the parish or to our, you know, kind of partner organizations that we've had through the years.
Well, you're on finances. How did salaries go up 150,000, and yet history-wise they barely go up?
Mike, you can't be heard. Mike, you can't be heard. We're live streaming, so that's why we're asking people to write down questions.
Well, the salaries are right on. If you look at the last 3 years, it's about the same.
No, you had 291, 317, 306, and then 400.
That's the budget. You're looking at the budget. You're not looking at the actual. Right, but you're not you're comparing apples to oranges here. Like the actuals. Sure.
Questions are back here. So.
All right.
Sure.
Oh, sorry.
There's our questions.
Got 1 minute left.
How does Malachi Center fit into our future? Father Gurnick, did you want to talk about that? Okay, and then there was a question about liturgical ministers, the comment about liturgical ministers working at both parishes. Would that require retraining? Jan, you may want to answer this question. And how would others learn what others do? I don't know that really there's any requirement that people would be asked to serve all the time at both parishes or both churches. I don't think that's the intent. Okay, thank you.
The liturgical, I think, and Jan, I think this is what you meant by this too, is that some of the training and the resourcing for the ministries, we both need them. I mean, a lot of parishes, especially since COVID, we just need to have some updating. We need to do some recruitment of ministers. I think you would all agree. The servers, lectors, Eucharistic ministers, grateful for those who have all kind of hung in there and been able to sustain, especially during these challenging years. But we did lose a number of folks. And in addition to like natural attrition, I think COVID really kind of redefined the landscape of some of our ministries. So I think the point is, as we're pulling resources together in our divine worship, in our liturgical, our sacramental life, we can pull resources as far as enlarging the pool for training, the refreshing of those ministries. But I think, Judy, you had just made a comment, you know, it's not that you have to serve at both places, but that you would be able to serve at both places, right? So in other words, if we have more and more some joint experiences within liturgy, it's not like you're a foreigner like in your neighboring parish or the oratory, but that there's some similarity to the way that ministries would continue or carry on. So I think that's the spirit behind kind of what we're asking the working group to look at, what might be some opportunities through that.
And then Malachi Center.
Yep, and then Malachi Center. So that went back and forth. As you know, Malachi Center established through St. Malachi Parish, and a number of years ago, the parish actually purchased the Malachi Center building and the property. There's a parcel that Malachi Center owns on its own, but it has been determined recently, that the Malachi Center is actually property of St. Malachi Parish. And with that, we are legally considered, and I know we don't like to always use these terms, but for legal purposes, we're the landlord, they're the tenant. So currently, we've been advised by the diocese to come up with, establish some kind of contract with Malachi Center as a self-governing board-directed entity, so that they have their protections and responsibilities. We as a parish have our protections and responsibilities. And that has to do just with the arrangement of landlord to tenant. What does that look like? For the time being, I've asked the diocese if we could just have like a 6-month grace period. We want to get some type of formal leasing arrangement between landlord and tenant. But after consulting with our finance council, just kind of putting an arbitrary cost monthly so it doesn't break their budget, we're asking for maybe $25 a month in a leasing. It doesn't sound like much. It's intentionally not a lot, to give Malachi Center the opportunity to kind of figure out what it needs to do in its strategic planning. And that 6 months of this arrangement will then eventually either move into a more formal lease agreement where we then look at a real market value cost of rent. But what does that look like? Because it's an extension of parish and the mission that we've held near and dear. So that needs to be negotiated, and that would be done once we kind of hear from Malachi Center what their needs and their vision is for both the building, the parking lot over there, as well as the classroom space and some of the additional space they use in the former school building currently. So again, not to be vague about it, it's just kind of where Malachi Center is right now as they're moving forward with their visioning, and as we're just trying to be good partners with them, although trying to clean up some of the legal status. I think that pretty much is where we're at in a summary fashion. Thanks.
Thank you. A show of hands, we've got a few more questions. Do you want to keep going because we're at our 70 minutes, or do you want to go? Yeah, we've got some interest. So there's a question about St. Malachi Council. How is St. Malachi Council being involved with the St. Malachi Center project, or what their mission, and also in conjunction with the Collaborative Steering Committee? So Father Gurnick has been reporting to St. Malachi Parish Council about Malachi Center. We've been conferring a lot. The Malachi Parish Council is the consultative body, right? So we're getting a lot of consultation with Father Gurnick about Malachi Center. As far as the Collaborative Steering Committee, that is, so there are 2, 3, 4 St. Malachi Parish Council members that are part of the Collaborative Steering Committee, so we have strong leadership in both areas. And we're also talking monthly at our meetings and in between times about the collaborative process and giving input into it. Somebody asked about Saturday morning breakfast. I don't know if there's an answer. Did Bay Press, were they invited? Do they do one of the Saturdays? So they're currently not involved. Yeah, okay, and they have not come forward yet again. Somebody asked a question about the Malachi Run and the food fund. So, like the food fund is not on the, I mean, that's a long-standing Malachi term, the food fund, right? And so where is that? Is the Malachi Run part of that? Does the food fund still exist? What is it? So Jeanette or Mike, do you want to? Thank you. I'm sorry, we won't be able to get to all of the questions, but we are collecting them, and we will have some way of answering them that we'll put it out through the weekly announcements.
Okay, thanks. Okay, the Malachi Run money goes into our general operating fund, which gives us, the parish, a lot of liberty on what we want to do with it. So as we have done with West, we give Catholic and the ministries. So if the money goes into the operating fund and we find that Monday night meal, the food fund, Mother Teresa ministry, backdoor ministry need funds, Father Gurnick has the decision if he wants to move some of our operating money into those restricted accounts to help them. And we've done that before with putting some money into Mother Teresa ministry from We Give Catholic. So that's the way it works. Does that answer your question? Okay, good, thanks.
All right. Thank you. We did not have a lot of enthusiasm for additional questions, so I think we're going to head toward closing now. We are collecting all the questions, and we will get answers in some format. We will keep this conversation going right over in the hall for brunch, which I heard is going to be a terrific meal, and I'm appreciating hospitality providing that for us. Thank you all for being here, because it's been a wonderful meeting. Charlene's going to close us in song. So 382 and Breaking Bread.